Hi, my name's Lizzie, and I'm going to be going over the role of Comet Ping Pong in the rise of the Pizzagate conspiracy. Okay, so what is the Pizzagate conspiracy? In my section, I'll be focusing on the physical location that became central to the conspiracy, and that is Comet Ping Pong, which was a pizzeria in DC, and it was pulled into this internet-fueled theory, claiming it was the site of a child trafficking ring. And this idea came from online speculation about leaked political emails and evolved into this huge interpretation of the restaurant's artwork, branding, and even layout. And my goal is to walk through what evidence was used to accuse this place and how that holds up with other challenging views. So one of the first big pieces of evidence was the artwork inside Comet Ping Pong. The biggest evidence of this was a mural painted in 2011 by an artist named Arlington Dioniso, and he was known for really surreal and symbolic pieces. He painted the mural here on the PowerPoint, you can see, but it was these mythological abstract figures. This was actually painted over, and a couple years later, it resurfaced online, and people reposted a lot of pictures of it. Conspiracy theorists claimed that the figures in the mural were coded kind of representations of satanic rituals or pedophilia, and kind of linked that to the restaurant and how something was going on there, something wasn't right, and it was kind of a hidden message of the pedophilia that was supposedly happening in the basement of Comet Ping Pong. The backlash against this artist was really intense. He received a lot of threats online and was publicly accused. There's interviews with Hyperallergenic and Vice, and he described in this interview and quotes a very deliberate assault on his work and character, and he wanted to make it really clear that his art had no intention whatsoever to be linked to any of these claims. So probably the biggest believed claim in the Pizzagate theory, or the most famous one, was the basement. The theory claimed that children were being held in this underground basement of Comet Ping Pong, and images surfaced online of basements in the area, so this kind of related to what they thought the basement was here. And it made people believe that when the owner denied that they had a basement, this was kind of a cover-up and made it seem more suspicious, maybe a way of hiding what was there. This became a really key part of the conspiracy, and it actually prompted an invasion. In December 2016, Edgar Madison drove from North Carolina to DC. He had an assault rifle, and he was really convinced that he would uncover the supposed child trafficking. He entered the restaurant, fired at least one round, caused a lot of panic, and according to NBC News, Welch later admitted that he had been misled about what he read online. He told the police that the information he acted on wasn't 100% and surrendered after finding no basement and no victims. The restaurant owner has stated repeatedly that the restaurant has no basement. This was backed up by journalists from major news outlets such as the New York Times and the Washington Post. But despite this, online communities continued to promote the idea and shared other basement photos, or also claimed that there might be underground tunnels, but there was no evidence for this found. So another piece of evidence is the leaked emails published by WikiLeaks and how that kind of connected to the restaurant's menu. So there was this theory that there was these code names, and that's what they would be asking for in correlation to the pedophilia ring. So the hot dog meaning a boy or pizza meaning girl, and they would order that and be fake ordering pizza and actually ordering a child. And they connected this to a few emails, one that's on the screen about a walnut sauce on pasta. Some supporters of the theory pointed this as evidence of coded language, but when the email is fully viewed, it also refers to a traditional Italian recipe. According to the New York Times, there was nothing suspicious about the content of the messages, and fact checkers also reviewed the emails and found no credible patterns that would support the theory. Despite this, charts showed supposed code meetings and circulated really fast online, so a lot of people saw this as big evidence. I think biases really influence how people process and interpret information, specifically in this conspiracy. Confirmation bias is a big one, as it's the tendency to focus on information that supports one's existing beliefs. So, in this case, some users on platforms like WikiLeaks may have paid closer attention to images or emails, social media posts that appeared to support the theory and kind of overlooked a lot of alternate explanations. I think specifically online, most of the stuff was towards a conspiracy. And then the availability heuristic, I think, also played a huge role. Because child trafficking is such a serious and emotionally intense topic, it can feel more real or believable, especially with like how vivid the like allegations are. That can kind of like shape the perception of what's likely true or not. And then lastly, echo chambers in online environments, specifically in this conspiracy where it was so big online. Things can get reposted fast that are more popular. The more followers you have on Instagram, the more things you're going to see that are similar to that. They have a better pull on what people see, so that definitely could influence things. After examining all the evidence tied to Comet Ping Pong, I believe there's no reliable support for the claims made by Pizzagate believers. From the artwork and basement claims to the email codes, each element really falls apart with solid evidence. I think the art was symbolic, but I think it was taken out of context. And since it was proven that there was no basement to begin with, all of the email kind of language is hard to really prove. And I think after finding that investigative journalists and law enforcement all concluded that there was no real trafficking operation, it kind of proves the fact that this case only happened with rumors and those were kind of treated as evidence. So overall, I think the Pizzagate theory is false and the accusations against Comet Ping Pong have been thoroughly debunked.